stories you've kind of heard?
What we discussed today about just the fact of men not being upfront with what they desire and what they want, whether they want a serious relationship, whether they want just sex, whether they want marriage, whether they want whatever it is that men desire, they're not communicating it. And then from the other side, men just say that women are some of the main issues outside of communication is the whole feminine and masculine energy conversation with that men complain about with women, saying that women just aren't as feminine as they used to be, and they have too much masculine energy where they're wanting to control too much and dominate too much and all that stuff. So yeah, that's the main thing with what comes around with communication. Then when we talk about marriages, I get a lot of married couples that come on my podcast and they just complain about, they just don't have those conversations. And all of them say that they wish that this platform was around before they got married, because the way that we're talking on Dear Future Wifey is very abnormal than what we're used to hearing in the church, what we're hearing outside the church, even in secular platforms. You don't really hear, like on TV shows, people sitting there talking uninterrupted for an hour. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just different to just hear people talk and you can listen to. And the good thing about the podcast is we're not trying to fix anybody. We're just allowing people to share their truths. Just like me, I don't try to tell people what to do. I just say, here's my story. Take the fish, spit out the bones. Whatever it is that you can take away from the story, take it, grow. What you don't agree with, take it out. It's my story. It's my story. So it is what it is. And so it's just about having healthy communication. And that's what people seem to appreciate most, is that they're like, wow, y'all having a real grown-up conversation. That's why I saw some comments early on in this conversation we had. It's like, wow, I like this. Y'all just talking like brothers. And that's what it should be. It shouldn't always be some battle of the sexes and men against women and women are this and men are that and everybody's at their head, instead of saying, let's try listening more. Prime example, when I did the podcast, I told God, as I do this podcast, I want to become a better listener, because before I got married or throughout relationships, period, people always would say, you don't listen. And I was like, I could deflect and get mad. Like, I do listen. Now, how you going to tell somebody that if they feel like they're not being listened to, then it's dumb for you to say, I do listen, and without asking them why. Why don't you feel like I'm listening to you? Why I just don't feel like you're blah, blah, blah. You're doing X, Y, Z while I'm talking. Oh, well, let me tell you what you just said. Oh, well, I didn't know you're actually hearing me or whatever. There's a difference between hearing and listening. So the reality was, when I did the podcast, I said, I want to become a better listener. I don't have notes when I'm doing the podcast. I sit down and I literally have to be engaged with my guests, because if I'm not engaged with them, the interview will fall flat, because I don't know what the next question to ask, because I wasn't listening. Yeah. So I knew that I was being effective in the secret prayer that I asked God when I started reading comments where people said, oh my God, Latarius, you're such a great listener. Your questions are so amazing. You have such great questions. That's because I literally am invested and I care about my guests, and I'm just sitting there listening to them. And when listening to them, they'll give me the lifeline of the next question, because I go, wow. So when you did that, what made you decide to do that? Oh, I did that because such. Oh, well, you said you did that because of that. How did that make you feel when you blah, 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 blah? And we'll start unpacking all this stuff in that episode. And then the hour has gone by, and I'll be like, well, thanks for coming on Dear Future Wifey podcast. But I want to make sure that I can keep that same energy in my personal relationships, whether it's just friends, romantic, or platonic, to have those conversations where I'm fully engaged with people, because I have a propensity to, while you're talking to me, I'm doing something else, because I'm always multitasking. I may be on the phone and I'm editing the video while I'm talking. Oh yeah, I hear you. Dang it, man.
So yeah, I'm not really.
Yeah. So I'm not fully listening. I'm just hearing them. I'm hearing them talking. I'm hearing the voice, but I'm not truly listening to them. And so this podcast is literally my personal journey. I want to become better in areas where I'm deficient. And so and listening was something that I had to fix